Hello and welcome back to Wonder Dreams episode 3. I do apologise for not posting in the last 2 weeks because I was ill with a really bad cold and I was really ill. I was in bed for 4 days. I couldn't do anything. I was on a lot of antibiotics and that, so I couldn't record any podcast because of how ill I've been in the last 2 weeks. But I'm fine now and it's all good. So this podcast is what should have been posted up 2 weeks ago, which is about the Child's Play TV series and the Child's Play remake reboot film, which is out in June. So let's get straight to it. Let's first talk about the Child's Play remake on what I personally think about it. I'll ask some questions. You can put in the comments in the video once it's posted. What your comments are on the Child's Play TV, not the TV series, the remake reboot. I've read up about a couple of things. Obviously, the trailer's been put up now, so I'll just tell you a little bit about the trailer and what I personally think about the trailer, which has been put up. Now, the trailer, it looks good. I'm not going to lie. Some of the aspects looks good. Obviously, it looks a lot darker, which obviously the original 2 was. The third one wasn't as dark as the first 2. Obviously, there's not that comedy stuff into it like it was with, Seed of Chucky, Bride of Chucky, and but then they went back to the horror roots with Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. So there is that aspect on there, but I'm just a bit reluctant to the fact that Chucky is now a malfunctioning doll. Someone's basically set the settings to the doll to turn evil, and it's not actually a possessed doll obviously Chucky it originally is. So I'm a bit reluctant to that because of how they've changed that. But obviously it's a new concept. Apparently this film, this remake, reboot, or whatever you want to call it, was actually the original plan for the first Child's Play film back in the 80s, but this was rejected. So this film that we're getting is the original concept for the first Child's Play film, and the directors and the script writers for this film have just adapted upon that, and they've added more stuff into it. They've put their own spin onto it. They've taken things out, put new stuff in, and they've taken their own spin on that draft and that original plan of what Child's Play was supposed to be. It wasn't originally supposed to be Charles Ray possessing a doll and then going around killing. It was actually supposed to have been a malfunctioning doll that had been had its settings turned onto evil. So that's the film we're getting. It's basically the original concept to what Child's Play was supposed to have been before we got Charles Ray and Chucky. So I will watch it. I am a bit reluctant. Obviously, I know that the original cast and the original director Don Mancini hasn't praised it, obviously, because he said he didn't want any credit in the film as a producer or anything, obviously, because it was his idea. He created it and made it. He said he doesn't want any credit into it, and I know a lot of the original cast have basically slaughtered it, saying this shouldn't have happened, because obviously they're already making the Child's Play TV series, which is happening at the end of the year, I'm presuming, because Sci-Fi has now picked up the Child's Play TV series, so that's currently in production. They haven't said when it's going to come out, but I'm presuming because it's been in production for a couple of months now, I'm presuming it might be maybe around October time, around Halloween time, that they may drop it on Sci-Fi, or they might just drop it early next year. It just depends on what the schedule is and how many episodes they're doing. I did read a report, and last time I read a report, I think it says that we're doing 8 half-an-hour episodes. It did mention something about 8 episodes. They might add more to it. They might do a 10 episode series. It just depends on what they're doing. But the TV series will follow on from the last film, which was Cult of Chucky. So it's going to follow on from the events of that. Now, obviously, Chucky's possessed Nika, so it's going to follow on from them events. And by the looks of it, Glenn Glenda, which is Chucky and Tiff's daughter, whatever, I don't know what it was, Glenn Glenda, whichever it is. Obviously, I think they're bringing them back in the TV series, so I'm not 100% sure. I've just read reports, it's just rumours at the moment. Obviously, we've got no official things, any pictures or whatnot that's been put up of filming of the Sci-Fi TV series as of yet. We just know it's been picked up by Sci-Fi and it's currently in production. So there's no actually official word on that yet. But let's just jump back to the remake first. I'll talk about the TV series a little bit later on because we'll go into more depth about that. So let's just talk about the remake. Obviously, like I said, I'm a bit reluctant to it because of, I've been a big fan of it since I was younger. I think I was about 10, 11 when the first Chucky film I watched actually was when I was 10, and it was Seed of Chucky that I watched, which It's not the best film to watch. It's not the best of the franchise. Obviously, it's pretty cheesy. I think most people might agree saying that Seed of Chucky is probably one of the worst, but that's the first Chucky film which I did watch. And then I found out, obviously, it was a series. And then, obviously, as I got older, obviously, I was like 14, 15 then. And then I found out that there was like a series. And then I was like, oh, let's check out the other films. And then I started watching Child's Play 1, 2, and 3, which I quite enjoyed. I really liked. Obviously, the first one didn't obviously do it for me. I'm like, that's the first one, but it was really good. I was like, oh yeah, let's see how this develops. And then you had the second film, which was a little bit better than the first one. I mean, it's a really good film, but there was a couple of bits in it that I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense. But it's like different like bits. Obviously, you analyze it, because obviously I'm a media student now. Obviously, I've like rewatched them all, and because now I like critically analyze them. It's good in its own sense, but it's bad in another sense, because like every time you're watching films and that now, you're like critically analyzing them. And you're like, oh no, this is off, that's off, and it's like. It helps in a sense if you're like doing like, you know, assignments or whatnot on films. It does help, but it does come annoying at one time, because it stops you from enjoying watching films sometimes, because you're just analysing them. So it's like sometimes, you know, when I'm watching a film, I'm there like, right, this doesn't. It does get annoying at times. I've tried not to do it anymore. I don't do it as much as what I used to, but that's because like first and second year uni, because I was doing so much. Critically analysing films and all this and like digital media, and then going more into depth of it. It did put a dim on like me watching films and TV series, and that I couldn't enjoy them as much as what I did before I joined university. So it was like, oh this, oh that. It's like, so I'm starting to enjoy them again now. I'm not doing it as much. I'm trying to not like critically analyse them. But obviously for my blogs, which I'm doing for this Wonder Dream Productions thing, obviously I'm going like back and forth with them. So I am getting down that route of critically analysing the films again. So let's jump back into Child's Play. I'm jumping topic here. It's still film related. Obviously, that's what I keep these podcasts at. But let's just jump back in. Right, the Child's Play remake. Right, what are your thoughts on it? Obviously, I've said a little bit about myself. You know, I was a bit reluctant to it, but like I said, I will actually go and watch it when it comes out in June, just to see what it's like and the hype. But the test screenings were done a couple of weeks ago, and apparently the reactions to it were really bad. Apparently it was slaughtered. Apparently nobody liked it that was in there for the test screenings. But at the end of the day, some films do get like that. They do the test screenings, and then people just hate it. It's bad, and you know the reports come through saying that, you know, it was really, really bad. But they turn out to be successful films. I mean, I can't think at the top of my head, but there was a film which got like the worst reactions ever that any film has ever had on test screenings. Yet it came out to be like really successful. I can't remember what film it was. It was it's going back a while. It might have been about 10 or so years. I can't remember when it was, but there was a film that like is the worst test screening ever, but it came out to be like successful. It wasn't a big budget film. I think it had about 40-50 million budget, and it made about 600 million in total. I can't remember what film it was. If anyone knows what film I'm talking about, you know, put it in the comment so you can refresh my mind. But I can't remember what film it was. But it was a really good film. So I don't know why the test screenings were one of the worst ever at that time. There's probably been films now that are even worse test screenings than what that was now, because, you know, obviously that's going back quite some time ago. Now let's jump back into Child's Play. See, I'm just jumping in bit and bit because I'm analysing, you know, I'll tell you a little bit about what's what. So yeah, the Child's Play remake. What's a remake, reboot, whatever you want it is, because it's obviously on the original concept. So whatever you want to call it, you can just go down that route. I just feel it's more of just like I think it's more of a reboot. It's not a remake, because it's using the original concept. It's a remake in its own, but at the same time, it's a reimagining of the original film. So it's not a remake or a reboot. I personally feel it's more of a reimagining of the original film. Some people are just like, no, it's a remake, it's a straight up remake, but obviously it's not, because they've changed Chucky. They've changed the story quite a lot. The story's nothing like what the original was, and you've still got, obviously, Andy and his mum in it. Obviously, there's that from the original, but all the rest of it's been changed, and obviously Andy's a lot older than what he was in the original. He's a teenager in this, I think. Well, he looks like it, I don't know. He looks like a teenager in this one. So yeah, they've changed quite a lot. Obviously, like I said, they've reimagined it. They've just took the original. They took the original concept of what Child's Play was supposed to have been, not Chucky being possessed, and then they've just adapted upon that. I mean, it's a decent concept. I mean, that's why I said I'm going to go to the cinema and watch it when it comes out in June to see what it's like, because obviously I did read up about the original concept of what Child's Play was originally supposed to be until the film that we actually got, and I was a bit intrigued by it, like, oh yeah, what if this actually did happen? And obviously it's happening now, so I am a bit like intrigued and interested to see how that turns out. And obviously it's been made by the producers of It, and I mean the It that came out 2 years ago. So I mean, if they put that dark tone into it like they did with It, I think it might be a decent film. But we'll just have to wait and see until it comes out in June. It could be a good film. It could be absolutely trash and just ruins and craps all over the franchise. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now let's move on to the Child's Play TV series. This I am really interested in, obviously, because we've got the original Chucky voice. Brad Dourif is still doing the voice of Chucky for the TV series. Or actually, I'll quickly go back to the reimagine and reboot in June. Mark Hamill has now been confirmed a couple of days ago. Mark Hamill is voicing Chucky. Now this was an interesting choice. I mean, I think that's the best choice they could have gone, because he's voiced Chucky before. If you've ever watched an Adult Swim TV series called, what was it called? Chicken something. Swim Chicken, no. Whatever it was, yeah, this was ages ago, and he voiced Chucky in a segment which was in that Adult Swim series. So obviously, we already know he might use that voice, he might like adapt it to sound a bit more like the original. But realistically, I think Mark Hamill just needs to put his own spin on it, not like try to go off Brad Dourif's Chucky. I think he needs to put his own spin on it. But I think Mark Hamill being chosen to voice Chucky, I think that's the best choice they could have gone with, because obviously Mark Hamill, obviously him as the Joker voice, and that's probably one of the best Joker voices that we've got, which was on the Batman animated series, and then he's done a lot of other voiceovers and that. So I think Mark Hamill will do Chucky some justice. So we'll just have to see how that turns out in June. Hopefully we'll just have to see. Right now, let's move back to the TV series. Right. This I am interested in. Obviously, there's not a lot of details or rumours or anything which has been put online yet, so we're not 100% sure what's happening. Obviously, like I said before, it's been picked up by Sci-Fi. There was a report saying 8 episodes, but then there's a report saying 12 episodes, so we're not 100% sure. Nothing's been official yet. Don Mancini hasn't said much about it. He just posted saying that Sci-Fi picked it up, so we're not 100% sure what's happening with it. And like I said before, we don't know when it's coming out. I'm presuming it'll be sometime this year. If they're already in production and the scripts and all that are done, I'm presuming it should be at the end of the year if everything goes all well. Probably October time, because Chuck is obviously a Halloween thing, so I'd presume. But I don't think they want to release it too soon to the the Child's Play reimagining, reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it. I think they want to see how that turns out first. Obviously, it's not the same production company either that are making it. Obviously, there's MGM, and then which is I think that's the original production company for the Child's Play series, and then is it Paramount? I don't know which one it is that's doing it's Universal, I think, that are doing the remake, and then it's MGM that's got the original rights, but then Universal took the rights, and that's why they're doing this film. It's one of the two, MGM. I'm pretty sure it's MGM and Paramount with Universal. Or it could just be one of the two. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, let's just move on a little bit. Like I said, the Child's Play TV series. Now, this I'm interested in. I mean, I've got a couple of ideas which, I'd like to see developed in it. Obviously, I don't know what route they're going down. Obviously, they're continuing on from Cult of Chucky. Obviously, it's a continuous thing. So we already know that Chucky's now possessing Nika. Tiffany's back in it. And obviously, the doll as well. Tiffany is the doll, so we've got that. We don't know if Glenna Glenda is in it, but this is an interesting thing, because if you've watched Cult of Chucky, you'll know what I'm saying about it. When Nika's in the asylum, there's this dude that's in there that's locked in it there in the asylum, and I personally feel that is Glenda. I mean, because if you've watched the film, and everything that goes on and how he's acting and being, to me personally, I feel that is Glenn Glenda. It might not be. It could just be to like totally throw you off. I mean, Don Mancini could have just put that there and be like, oh, this is interesting, we'll put that there and make people think this is Glenn Glenda, but it isn't. Because he didn't die, did he? So it's making. But then again, if it was, it would have been in the car when Chucky possessed Nika, and then Tiffany's in the car. It would see. There's different routes which you can take this TV series down. There's different opportunities and different like ways to explore and develop this more. I think this is why I wanted to do a TV series instead of another film, because then it can experiment more. And then, you can do it like each episode, so it's got more time. There's more things that you can develop. I think this is why I wanted to do a TV series instead of another film, because you can put more into a TV series than you can in just one film, and you can explore different things all at once instead of just sticking to one thing like most films do. So I think this is why he wanted to do a TV series, and like I said, it is an interesting thing. I mean, it could go down different routes. Obviously, bringing Glenn Glenda back. I don't know if it's Glenn now or Glenda. We don't know because we haven't seen them since Seed of Chucky. But he has been like teasing Glenn Glenda coming back. So they're definitely going to be in the TV series now. As we know, Chucky can now possess more than one thing at once. So this is going to be interesting for the TV series and how they're going to... Because we didn't get an explanation onto how this happened, on how he can possess more than one thing at once. It didn't really explore how this happened. Now I think they're going to explore this more in the TV series, because I was a bit confused by it. I was like, wait, there's more than one Chucky. I'm like, how's this happening? I thought he could only possess one thing at once. It did say in the film, though, that I can't remember now, that that it had found a way to do more than once, but it didn't say how and why. It didn't develop it further. I think they'll obviously do this in the TV series. Well, I'm hoping anyway, so it gives you a little bit more of a background onto, like a full episode of Chucky finding this thing on how to possess more than one thing at once. Because obviously we had, was it 3 Chuckies at once or was it 4? Because you had the original head which Andy had locked up in his cabin, and it was basically that was the original Chucky. But then you had all these other Chuckies which obviously was possessing, and then he got brought free, and then you had like I think it was 4 Chuckies. I think it was 4 Chuckies in the asylum at once, or was it 3? I can't remember. It might have been 3, because you had the one with the long hair, you had the ugly one, that had his shaved off, and then you had the long one, the short one, and then you had I think there was 4 in total. I could be wrong, but I think there definitely was 3 in the asylum that was basically killing that guy. So there's many different opportunities in that they can explore with this TV series, and I'm pretty pumped to see what Don Mancini comes out with for the TV series. What little bits he's going to explore. What he can develop more into the story onto what he's already done, because obviously, I mean, it could just follow it on from... there's a couple of characters which, obviously, we've got Andy back now. We've obviously got... I can't remember her name. She was in the third one, was she? Or was she in the second one? The woman that's in it now. I think it was the third one because it was the army base. So she's now back in it with Andy. So you've got those two. So, you could explore a bit of what she's been up to, in that time. Like I said, there's different routes you can take it down. I mean... There's many different routes you can take it down and explore to, develop it more. Obviously, personally, I like them to keep it as dark as possible, like the originals. Don't have a little bit of comedy in there, like he did with Cult and Curse of Chucky, but don't go down the routes of Seed and Bride of Chucky. I think he needs to stay away from. You can add in a little bit of humour, but don't go full on comedy like those two films. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were good comedy films, but they weren't good Chucky films. They were good comedy films, but not Chucky films, because they were laughable, especially Seed of Chucky. I mean, it wasn't the best. I can see why it didn't make that much at the box office, because it just wasn't Chucky. It just didn't feel like Chucky. I mean, it was a good film. Obviously, I do like the film, but as a Chucky film, I wouldn't say, yeah, it's a good Chucky film. I'd say it's a good film, but it's not a good Chucky film in my personal opinion. I mean, the only good ones are obviously the first 3, the original 3, and then Cult and Curse of Chucky are Chucky films because obviously they've gone back to the original horror roots and the original roots from the first three. But then Bride and Seed are like, I'd say they were just like, I wouldn't know, I'd say they were just like filler films to like explore different things to see, you know. I think Don Mancini were like, oh, we can do this, or we can do. I mean, they were good films, don't get me wrong, but like I said, as Chucky films, I don't personally feel they were good Chucky films. I mean, they were well written, really well written. They were, like I said, they were good, but I just feel, you know, what do you feel about it? I know I'm just like ranting on at the moment about different things and different like things about it. But you know, what do you feel like? Put it in the comment alongside that Adult Swim thing, which I couldn't think of, that chicken thing. And obviously your personal opinions on the TV series and all that. And then obviously, you know, I could like read them out, and I'll comment back to them like I did do with the other comments in the last 2 podcasts. So, you know, I'll read them out and go more fully into each segment of that. So yeah, what's your opinions on both of them? You know, what do you want to see in the TV series? You know, what do you want to see develop? Do you want Glenn and Glenda back, or do you feel that they shouldn't bring them back because it's going to go back down the roots of Bride and Seed of Chucky, and we should just stay away and just keep it as it is with Chucky? Obviously now with Nika, Tiffany. Well, obviously they're bringing Tiffany back though, so obviously there's going to be some aspects of Bride and Seed of Chucky being shoved into the TV series somewhere down the line. They're going to bring that comedic humour back, but obviously I hope they just don't go too full on with it, because it might just ruin it. I mean, I prefer the horror roots, you know. I prefer if they just went full on horror, they just made it dark. I mean, really, really dark. Like, they made like Chucky in the Shadows, like they did with weren't called to Chucky, Curse of Chucky, where they kept him in the shadows. Yeah, I think they should. Don Mancini should stick with that. Obviously, have Chucky on the screen a lot, obviously coming back and forth, but don't have it like Bride of Chucky, was just constantly on the screen. Because don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Chucky on the screen all the time, but if it's just there all the time, it's just ruining the experience of it being a horror effect, because he's just constantly there on the screen. I mean, if you have him, you know, even if you have him on the screen all the time, obviously he's just like dormant, you know, he's not moving like they have it like Bride and Seed of Chucky. But you know, if you have him there all full on, you know, they need to explore different aspects. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not bothered about Chucky being there like every second of, you know, the TV series, because obviously it's a Chucky TV series, it's based on Chucky. But it's just how it's going to be explored, obviously, because I like horror films mainly. It's like when I watch horror films now, it's like horror films nowadays, they're nothing compared to older horror films. Horror films nowadays just don't do it for me. They're bad. I mean, the cheap jump scares and that they put in there, it's just like, it hurts a little bit. It hurts me inside, like, oh, this is bad. It's like, you know it's going to happen. It's like, this is not what horror films are supposed to be about. You don't put cheap jump scares in there and then make them like, oh, this is going to happen. You're supposed to surprise them out of the blue and scare them out of the blue, not put these cheap jump scares in there. This is why I want to go into like directing and script writing, because I want to bring that back to the horror genre, not this crappy Insidious films like that are just cheap jump scares. I mean, I watched The Nun and that was a bad film. It really was. I mean, the cheap jump scares and that, I couldn't watch it all. I'm like, my mum had it on and I just couldn't watch it all. It hurt. I was like, this is terrible. I'm like, is this how horror films are gonna be from now on? It hurt. It was terrible. I'm like, someone needs to come back and reinvent the horror genre, because it's going bad. I mean, it's going really bad. Like it's mainly like the cheap jump scares, and then the scripts are written poorly. I just look at that Slender Man film. I thought, oh, this might have been a decent film. Oh, it was so bad. I'm like, the cheap jump scares. Just, horror films nowadays, I can't watch them because they're so bad. It's like, no, you're supposed to surprise the audience. You're supposed to not put the cheap jump scares in there and then put something in with the, you know, you're blending in the music to it. You know it's going to happen, so it's not going to scare you because you know it's going to happen. You don't do that. You're supposed to surprise them and just pull it out of the blue, and then it'll scare them. That's what I like about horror films, not the cheap jump scares, that's like, and then the music comes in, and then there's going to be a jump scare. You've just ruined it for me. That's what I want. That's what ruins films for me, when they do that with the music and then they blend it in. It's just like, you've just ruined the film for me. And then, especially then the endings of them, it's just like, you've just ruined it. And like, you've just ruined the experience for me. It's like, that's why I'm going into directing and script writing, because I want to try and bring back the proper horror roots. Not the cheesy like Evil Dead film. I mean, I do like those films. I love the Evil Dead films because of the cheesiness in them, and they're just they're great. I mean, I laugh at the original Evil Dead films. They're more of a comedy than a horror, but there's no horror elements in there. I mean, back then, when they originally came out, they would have terrified people. Just look at The Exorcist. You need films like that nowadays that are horror films, not these crappy horror films that people and production companies are just spitting out there. You need really good. You need to bring that horror genre route back to its originality. Not these cheap jump scares, blending in the music to try and get jump scares up. You need proper horror elements, because the horror genre is just dying now because of this. It's just the same thing over and over and over again, and people are just recycling it. It's like, can you not just come up with anything fresh? It's like, things are being recycled. That's why we get remake and reboots now, because they're running out of ideas, because they're like, it's like Hollywood can't come up with any ideas anymore. And it's like, well, I can come up with about 50 new ideas at the top of my head. It's like they've just run out of ideas. Just look at Disney. They've run out of ideas that they're having to remake all their animated films into live action. It's like, wow, it's like, if you just run out. Obviously, we've got Toy Story 3, and then we've got Incredibles 2, so they have done sequels and that, but you can see they're running out of ideas. This is the problem with Hollywood and films at the moment. I mean, people just can't come up with any new ideas. It's, it is getting a problem, but that's why everything's getting remaked. I mean, look at Pet Sematary. I mean, that's being remade. I think that's out in the cinema now. I haven't watched it yet myself. I have watched the original. Salem's Lot's being remade again. Obviously, we had another Halloween reboot. There's been talks about Nightmare on Elm Street being rebooted for a second time. Friday the 13th is apparently being rebooted for like the fourth time. Apparently, they're doing a handheld found footage film for Friday the 13th. Apparently, that's in production. This is what I mean. They're taking like older franchises. Like I said, because obviously I want to go into directing and script writing, mainly because I want to bring that horror genre route back to its originality, and I want to put films out there that will terrify you. I mean, not these crappy, like I said, jump scares and these insidious. They're not scary. They're laughable, and it hurts, because obviously I'm a media student, and obviously I've been interested in films and that since I was like 4 years or 4. I've been interested in it in about 20 years now. And, I've been going back and forth writing my own films. I've been making my own short films. I've been going back and forth. I've watched a ton of films and TV series. I mean, the amount of stuff that I have watched is just unbelievably stupid. Literally, some days I just sit there, 15 hours, just watch films, and then analyse them, and then get ideas for like scripts and that I want to do. I just sit there and analyse them. It's ridiculously stupid how many films and that I've watched. But at the end of the day, it's good. It gets your creativity running. That's the reason why I do it. That's why you're a media student. Like, it's pointless in being a media student if you're not going to watch a lot of films and a lot of TV series, and then get that creativity going, and then doing your own things outside of university, making your own films. If you're not going to do that, then it's pointless in you being on the course, because what are you gaining from it? I mean, if you're not going to do your own personal solo projects, and you're not gaining anything in it, watching a lot of films to gather that inspiration, it's pointless in you being a media student. So if you are listening to a podcast and you're thinking of going and doing a media production degree at university, I'm telling you this now: if you're not going to do your own solo projects outside of university and get involved in other films and looking out there to see if people need like script writers or directors to do short films, and getting involved in other stuff, I wouldn't recommend doing it. It'd be pointless, because you don't get much from the degree. Like, the degree I'm doing, I know like 95% of it already. There's some like stuff of it, like modules that I'm doing, which obviously I didn't know how to do. Like, obviously TV production I already knew how to do. The radio module, well, I've never been interested in radio. So even though I've been on the radio quite a lot, obviously I was on Preston FM for quite a couple of times, and then the university had DM and FM, so I was on there a lot for 2 years doing my own show. So, like I said, there's different. It just depends on what route you want to go down. If you want to go down the radio route, the film route, the TV route, or you want to go down to script writing and direct, it just depends. You need to look into options. Like I said, if you are listening, you are 18 or whatnot, and you're thinking about doing a university degree, I'd say think about it. Don't just jump into it's media production. You need to think about what you want to do career-wise, perspective-wise. Don't just go into it because, my parents said if I don't get a job, I'll have to go to university. That mindset is just no. That is just not a mindset that you want. I'm only doing it because my parents said if I don't do it, I need to get a job. Then what the hell are you doing on the course? That's just a waste of 3-4 years or however long the degree is. You need to do it for something you're passionate about. If you don't want to do media and you're interested in something else, go to university to go to do that. Don't just do something because your parents or people think, you've been interested in this. Do what you want to do, not what other people think you like to do or want to do. You want to do what you want to do, not what other people want to do, what you want to do. That's why I did media production, obviously. I've had an interest in it for quite a while. Obviously, like I've said, I've gone back way back. I've started doing it in 2004. Or was it 2004? I started a local film company, learning how to use cameras, going out there documentaries, doing short films. I did that for 9 years until it shut. So I did that for 9 years, and then that's when I left high school. I went to college. I did 2 separate level 3 degrees. I did media production, creative media production, and then I did a scripting and directing level 3 award, which was only a 1 year one. It wasn't a 2-year one, which was a bit odd. So I did 2 of those, and then I took a year out to work so I could save up a little bit, and then I went to university to do the media production degree. Well, I started off doing the film studies degree because I thought, it might have been more like script writing side, but it wasn't. So then I switched over from film studies to the media production degree, which is a lot better because it's more hands-on, more camera-based stuff. They give you more flexibility, and obviously there was a script writing degree and a directing module. I was like, this is handy. So that's why I decided to switch. I don't know why I did film studies in the first place. That's more critically analysing films. That's why I said in my first year unit I couldn't enjoy films as much because there was so much critical analysis. I was like, I'm not doing this degree. I'm like, it's just going to ruin film experience for me. I'm like, I don't know why I did this. I should have just did the media production degree to start with. So then I switched, and obviously I'm in my final year now doing this, and obviously I've already decided what I want to do. Like I said, I've wanted to do directing and script writing for a good 15 years now. Since I was little, I've been writing scripts, literally back at my mum's, literally when I used to live there, probably because I did move out when I was 18. Literally, there was scripts I literally had scripts everywhere. And I think I've got quite a lot of them here actually, because I put them in a binder and a folder. There was literally just scripts everywhere, literally all over the floor. My mum was like, I didn't used to write them up on a laptop. I used to write them up instead of typing them up. So my mum was like, what's this? I'm like, there's paper everywhere. I was like, don't bin it. I'm like, scripts. I remember writing my first script. I think I was 9. Yeah, I think I was about 9 years old when I wrote my first script. And I can't remember what it was on. It was like a... Oh, I know. I can remember actually. No, yeah, I think I've still got that. I think my mum's still got that script. I think that's my mum's. Yeah, the first script that I ever wrote. To say I was 9 years old... It was so graphic and gory. It was like a horror romantic film, and the way that I killed the 2 characters off. To say I was only 9 years old, it was so graphic. Oh, I need to find that script. It was so graphic, and that's like I said. I've always been into horror. Horror is the genre I want to go into. I want to go into making feature horror films. I've already got. I must have about 2 or 3 dozen scripts on my laptop of horror films, and quite a lot of them are feature-length films that I want to get out there and I want to film them. But obviously you need to get budgets and whatnot. I think the best route that I need to go down is to send them off to film companies, because the feature-length scripts, some of them are I think one of them's about 200 pages long. I spent 6 months writing it. I've got so many scripts on there, and obviously, like I said, I've got paper-based scripts which I haven't typed up yet. there's just so many that I need to, I want to get them filmed, and I've been wanting some of these scripts I've been wanting to get filmed for years, but you need the budget to do them, and then you need like a cast and like it's the process of it, and then actually finding that's why I met someone in university when I was at DMU before I switched over to uni that I'm at now. It's called Matt, and obviously first and second year, obviously, well, for me it was second and third because I did do film studies the first year before. We went out of our way. There was a social media module which we had in first and second year. We went out of our way. We thought it was all that little basic, modules that'll do this, do this. We was like, no, we're gonna go out our own way. So we went out there. We went travelling around Leicester, and we went like further out into these like woods. We'd find abandoned buildings. We'd go out, film these short films. We'd write up these like scripts, and like we'd go out there and we'd just do these like found footage films, and we'd do these other stuff, and we'd just come out with ideas at the top of our head, and we'll thought, oh, we'll experiment with this, we'll do with this, we'll do with that's what you need to do at university. Not just go to university to party all the time. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this year I've been pretty bad with going out partying, but like I said, you've got that lifestyle. Obviously you come to university to make friends and obviously party or whatnot, but you need to split it up into sections. You need to not just come university and that's it, and then party, go out drinking all the time. You need time, like I said, like me and Matt have done. We spent I think about 5 months, literally. We didn't go out drinking once for that 5 months because we was working on the social media project. We were going out to places, like I said, filming films, and was doing this. And we entered one of the, well, it's not been entered into a film festival yet because I'm still editing it. It was like 3 short films. If you've watched it, I don't know if you've seen it on my YouTube channel because obviously that's one post on my podcast, but it's Into the Dark. We split it up into 3 short films, but if you add it all up, it comes to about an hour and a half. Now, the version that I'm editing is going to be completely different to that. It's a lot better because I've spent months and months, on After Effects, like using different effects. I've been advancing my skills more on After Effects to make it look as good as possible. So there's that, and then there's obviously scenes which we cut from them which we didn't use. We must have had about 2-3 hours worth of footage which we didn't use. So I've edited that into this, so it's like a completely fresh new. It's a lot darker. It's a lot more fast paced than what those short films was. It's a lot better. Trust me. I mean, when you get round to it, it'll be really good. Obviously, it's being entered into a film festival in Manchester in October. I'm still editing it at the moment. I'm just taking my time with it, obviously, because I'm doing uni work at the moment, so I'm focusing more on that for the next month. And then, when middle May comes, I'm going to crack on with that and crack on with the Joker script, which I talked about in the last podcast. I'm going to crack on with that as well. I want to get that finished and get that sent off to Warner Brothers, because I think that idea and the amount of time I've spent on it and like reading comic book material, like I said, that is something that I'm hoping that goes somewhere, because the amount of time I've spent on that script is... I started scripting it 3 years ago. I've been going back and forth, like I said, reading comic book material on that, and I've been spent a hell of a lot of time on that script, and I'm hoping this just doesn't flop, because I will be... I don't want to be one of those people like, I'm not one of those people that are like, I don't know how to come across, I don't want to come across as like an egotistic, I don't want to come across as some, because I'm not. Obviously, I just feel like if you work so hard on something, you spend so much time on it, and then nothing comes of it, you feel bad, and then you don't do other projects then, because you're thinking, well, I'm not going to make it. I'm not one of those that are like, oh yeah, just doing it to get famous. I'm not doing that. I'm doing it for my own personal reasons. I'm doing it because I love it and enjoy it. I don't care about the fame. Say if I send this script off and I become a big director, it could happen, it might not. Say I do, I don't care about that. I don't care about the money. What I care about is the ideas and everything that I put into it, and I care about if the people that are watching it enjoy it. I care more about the fan base than anything else. Obviously, that's what I want to gain from it. I want to make something which I enjoy. I script, I direct and whatnot, and I do it and I put it out there. I want to enjoy making it, and then I want to make sure that the people and the fans that are watching it enjoy it. That happens, I'm happy. I don't care if I get like £50 million from it. I don't care about that. All I care about is that people that watch it enjoy it. That's something. That's all I care about. So, like I said, I'm going to go down that route. That's all I care about. So, right, I think I did rant on a little bit about, rant on quite a bit there, and we did kind of go off topic, and I've been talking for quite a while now. This has been a lengthy podcast, so I hope you've enjoyed it and it was interesting. I thought I'd only do like a 10-15 minute one for that, but obviously I've gone off topic about films. It's still film related, and I've just like gone down like different routes and said what was what. So I hope you did enjoy it. This has been another lengthy one. This is actually it's probably going to be as long as the first one. I think the first one was about 45 minutes. I think it's going to be around about the same. So I hope you did enjoy it, and obviously, like I said, comment in the comments about what your opinions are on the Child's Play remake, reboot, reimagining, whatever you think it is, and obviously the Child's Play TV series. If you want to comment about the other things that I've said about the horror genre, like different routes that we can take it down, and obviously I've said, what's your opinion on that, the horror genre? Because like I said, that's the main reason why I want to go into script writing and directing, because I want to reimagine the horror genre and make it scary again. Make it horror, not the cheap jump scares, and I want to, that's what I want to do. That's the scripts that I'm currently writing at the moment. There's 2 scripts that I'm writing, which I'm trying to take like different elements from like 70s and 80s films, bring back that, because the 70s and 80s horror films were brilliant. Most of the films back then were brilliant, so I just want to like bring that back, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, like I've said, I did rant on for probably about a good 10-15 minutes about that. I do apologise. I mean, it was interesting. I hope you did find it interesting, but I think I did rant on a little bit about that, and obviously we went off topic. Obviously, it was just supposed to be about the Child's Play thing, but it just came to my head after, because that's a horror film, and I thought, right, I'll link all this in about this. What I think about that. I want to think about that. So I think it was really good. So I hope you did enjoy it. So like I said, because I was ill, I do apologise for not posting one up in 2 weeks. So I do apologise for that. You've probably been thinking, right, where's he at? Because he's not posted for 2 weeks. Like I said, I was ill, so I do apologise. If I wasn't, I would have got quite a few up. So I am going to backtrack these podcasts now, because obviously it might affect my grade for not, doing anything for 2 weeks. But like I said, I couldn't do anything about it because I was so ill. I couldn't. Literally, it was my voice and the fact that I couldn't concentrate on the way, and I couldn't think. So like I said, once again, I do apologise. But like I said, I'm going to get on track with these now. These podcasts, I'm going to try and do more one a week. I'm going to crack on with it. And I'm just going to get all those ideas out there, get those podcasts out there. And I'm going to try and do 2 or 3 a week. I'm going to record. These next 3-4 weeks, there's going to be so many podcasts. So obviously hit the fucking subscribe button on my YouTube channel, because that's where they're all going. I'm going to try and put them onto Spotify. I'm trying to figure out a way to do it, because there is a way. If I can't, I can't. But I'm trying my best to try and put them onto Spotify. But for now, they'll be on YouTube. So obviously, hit that subscribe button, and then comment on all the things which I comment about the Child's Play TV series, the remake, reboot, reimagining, and obviously what your personal opinions are on the horror genre at the moment, because like I said, I've ranted on about it, so I want to know what your opinions are. So then obviously in the next podcast, I could do like a Q&A podcast, which I might do for the next one, of people. So if you comment down on it, I can read them out. I can do like a little Q&A before I decide what to do for the next episode. I don't know what I'm doing for the next episode yet. I think I'm going to do an analysis. I personally feel like I'm going to do like another horror analysis, but I feel like I've done a good like 15-20 minute like segment on that in this podcast. I'll come up with something, but obviously there's a couple of ideas which are at the top of my head, so you just have to like stay tuned. I want to keep it like film based, media based, because that's what these podcasts are all about, media and films. So I might do it on the Avengers Endgame, or I might do it on another film that's come out, or I'll just see what comes to me. I've got a couple of ideas up there on what to do for these podcasts. Obviously, I am like planning them at the moment. Like I said, I want to get more out there because I missed out on 2 weeks with being ill. And, there was just like personal reasons, and I was feeling down a lot, and I just wasn't feeling up to making podcasts. I know it's bad, but everyone goes through a bad batch. And I obviously did for those 2 weeks, and I was ill because of it, and obviously I had a cold and all that. I was going through a tough time for those 2 weeks. I kind of still am at the moment, but I'm getting on with it, because obviously these podcasts need doing, and I need to make sure that I'm doing them. And obviously, the people that you're listening to them, you're probably listening back into it from the last 2, and obviously you're enjoying them. And like I said, that's why I like to do this stuff. If I enjoy it, and then you enjoy it, it's a win-win. So like I said, I will see you in the next episode, which And this will get posted up, and then in a day or two after, there'll definitely be another podcast, because like I said, I'm backtracking these podcasts. So just keep an eye out on my YouTube channel. Obviously, like I said, if you haven't subscribed and put the notifications on. I'm going to try and get as many podcasts done as possible in the next 4 weeks, because, you know, I feel bad for not posting anything for those 2 weeks, but like I said, there was nothing I could do about it with feeling down and then being ill and then other reasons going on. But like I said, I'm going to crack on with it. If you've got any ideas for podcasts as well, put those in the comments and I will read them, and I'll take on your ideas if you want anything like I did in the podcast, or even if you want to feature in the podcast yourself, you know, just record some bits about you saying it and then I'll put it into the podcast. You know, I'd love some like interaction, you know, get some like interaction going on, you know, with you that are listening. So then, you know, instead of just me just blagging on about stuff, you know, if you get some like interaction going from you lot, then, you know, it makes the podcast a little bit more interesting. Or even if you want to like set up like a Skype chat, a Skype talk with me or whatnot, and then, you know, we can discuss things, you know, I'm happy to do that as well. You know, it's more podcasts that can be done, you know, it's more material that I can put out there, you know, which will be better, which can, you know, kind of get these podcasts a little bit more better than what they are. But like I said, yeah, right, I've blagged on now. I'm like, this is a long podcast. I do apologise. But if you do like enjoying listening to podcasts this long, then yeah, that's good. But like I said, I do apologise once again for not posting anything in the last 2 weeks. But I hope you enjoyed this lengthy podcast, and I will see you in the next podcast. So when this is posted up, there'll be another one in a day or two. So once this is up, I'll see you in a day or two. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next